Arkveld sucks. Excuse me? Elemental energy. Arkveld sucks elemental energy. Oh, that's true. I'm gonna wear his insides on my outsides. What? Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, with the anniversary festival underway for Monster Hunter Wilds, the big star of the show, at least to begin with here, is the release of Arch-Tempered Arkveld and the absolute ludicrosity of his fights. As far as I'm concerned, he might as well be a full-on variant monster with how different he is, and his challenge level is among the highest of anything in the game. But if you beat him, you get Arkveld Gamma tickets, and if you beat him multiple times, you can get enough Arkveld Gamma tickets to craft the Arkveld Gamma armor set. And if you've seen what's actually on it, you have probably found yourself wondering exactly how good it all is, as well as the other equipment that was added in this update too. So today we're going to essentially break down the proper value of the Arkveld Gamma set, as well as the Sororal set, which unlocks from the Nadia based side quest 2, talk about which pieces of each set are best for different scenarios, as well as go over a sort of refresher on how the set bonus for the Arkveld set works, as well as how convert element works and elemental absorption too, as those were generally more nichely used skills and bonuses, at least up until now. Finally then we'll go over a sort of generic build template created to apply to the majority of weapons after this update, and I want to be clear that it won't be specialized to any weapon in particular, so if you want full min-maxing for your weapon, then look for guides for your specific weapon. But the point of this is just to give you a sort of idea of how things have shifted since Title Update 4, and so the generic build is more supposed to help the comparison of how much power we have gained from the update. That said, let's start by going over the set bonus and skills to test and discuss. Set bonus itself we looked at properly a few days ago, Hasten Recovery. The simple refresher on this is that every 5 to 10 seconds or so of actively attacking a monster, you will heal for a percentage of your maximum health. The amount of health is dependent on which weapon type you are using. The amount of hits required to activate the heal is very non-specific as well, being a different number of hits for each weapon, and with different attack combos taking a different number of hits as well. But it's also not as simple as reaching like a motion value threshold either. So the easiest way to think about this is just every 5 to 10 seconds of actually attacking a monster, you will get the heal to proc. That to say, the set bonus itself is generally not worth building around even if your focus is survivability, but if you're only taking a loss of like 1 rank of a skill to get it or something like that, it's not a bad survivability option. But I'd say it is less value than something like Divine Blessing or Recovery Up as skills, though on that note, it does actually scale with Recovery Up, which increases the healing from the set bonus amount by up to 30% if you have full 3 ranks of the skill. Next up, let's talk about the specific skills. First, Elemental Absorption is the easier of the two to explain. When hit by enough elemental damage, this skill will activate, giving you increased resistance to the element that hits you, and increased element attack that matches your weapon element. The duration after activating it is 2 minutes, and then after it ends there is a 60-second cooldown period before you can activate it again. This was actually reduced in Title Update 4, it used to be a 90-second cooldown period, so it is actually better than it used to be as well. So absolute maximum uptime on this skill then is 66.6%. The resistance gains are 4 resists at rank 1, 6 resist at rank 2, or 8 resist at rank 3, and the resist part can actually be activated a couple of times per cooldown to give you some decent bonus resistances. For the offensive part though, this does depend on the weapon. Here are the numbers for Greatsword and Hunting Horn, which share the biggest gains, up to 100 bonus element at rank 3. For all other melee weapons except for Dual Blades, which means this counts for Longsword, Sword and Shield, Hammer, Lance, Gunlance, Switch Axe, Charge Blade, and Insect Glaive, these are the bonus element amounts you get from the skill, up to 60 at rank 3. Then for specifically Dual Blades and Bow, you get the lowest increases, which goes up to 50 bonus element at rank 3. For bowguns, it's much harder to quantify. It does increase bowgun element ammo damage, specifically with no other skills equipped. It's around 5.6% increase on bowgun element damage while active with 3 ranks, but since bowguns don't use the same element sort of calculation rules as other weapons, it's harder to quantify it more properly. Then after that, we also need to talk about Convert Element, the dragon-specific element-related skill from this set that also has a bonus damage proc component that can trigger every once in a while. The activation condition for this is the same as Elemental Absorption, so take element damage and then it will be activated. After activation, Convert Element lasts for 2 minutes, and then there is a cooldown of 90 seconds before you can activate it again, which gives it a maximum potential uptime of 57% across a hunt. While activated, 2 things will happen. The first is if you are using a dragon element weapon, your element amount, your element attack, will increase. This amount is the same for all weapon types, unlike the other element skill that we talked about, and it is 80 for rank 1, 120 for rank 2, and 180 for rank 3. The other thing is that you start building up bonus procs of damage when hitting the monster, as long as your weapon has any element on it. Elemental damage done will build towards a proc, sort of like how statuses work in the game, and it seems to build differently based on the motion values of the attacks used, but not based on the actual element value of your weapon, unlike the way that the skill describes itself, saying that it will trigger after enough elemental damage is done. So that just is wrong, it's not worded correctly, it just applies after you've done enough damage that has element as a component of it. So as long as you have element on your weapon, the frequency of the procs scales depending on the motion value of the attacks used, the raw attack value of your set in general, surprisingly, but then also crits seem to make it go faster too. So it's basically just the more damage you do, the faster it will proc, as long as you have element on your weapon in some capacity. That said, the damage itself is split between fixed damage, which is damage that is not affected by hit zones at all, and then a portion of it is dragon damage specifically. And so that part of the damage scales depending on the dragon weakness of the monster part that you activated on. The fixed damage is up to 280 damage at 3 ranks, and then the dragon damage goes up by the equivalent of 1000 dragon element if it were displayed on it like a weapon hit, or it's 100 true dragon, which is the actual number applied when it triggers. Using the training dummy as an example here, it takes 310 total damage from a level 3 skill proc, that is 280 fixed damage and then 30 dragon damage. The training dummy has a dragon hit zone of 30, which means it takes 30% of the attack's dragon value, and that matches with our numbers that we just went over perfectly. As for the value of both of these element related skills, generally speaking they do have some use, but are considered one of the least efficient element boosting skills available from armor because they are not consistently active, as well as requiring you to get hit to activate them too. So they are usually less desired than most elemental skills are, unless you are trying to hit element cap. Like dragon charge blade builds for gogmazios will use convert element as one example, but both skills are generally valued less than something like coalescence or the gogmazios set bonus as examples of what element builds prioritize more from armor. That said, this armor set does have a really efficient piece for convert element, so I expect that will start to be used a little bit more in any build that focuses around boosting dragon element for any weapon that wants to do that. That said, let's go over the actual armor set piece by piece, because it's the way that the individual armor pieces are laid out that makes this quite good for its mixed set potential. The helmet is 3 ranks of weakness exploit, a 2-slot decoration and a 1-slot decoration socket. This is incredible offensive value from a helmet, especially when you consider this is a Gamma set, so it also has the Lord Soul group bonus on it too, and for a lot of weapon types this helmet is then an ideal choice to work towards that bonus. If nothing else matters from this helmet absolutely does, and it is very good. The chest is 3 convert element and 1 blight resistance, then also a 3-slot and 2-slot socket, and this is extremely efficient skill space if you want to use convert element as a skill, and so any weapon where it was worth actually focusing on building element skills, this is now a very viable armor piece for dragon element builds specifically, and it brings a skill that used to be quite hard to fit into builds into now being very usable. The gloves are 2 ranks of flair and 2 ranks of weakness exploit with 2 1-slot sockets. The weakness exploit is great again, and at least the first rank of flair is very meta right now. It was buffed in Title Update 4 so that the actual frequency of the procs and the damage of the procs is better. It is solid damage for 1 skill rank. This however has 2 skill ranks, which awkwardly is one of the smaller jumps in value for this skill, but if you even just think of it as being 1 rank of flair, it is still actually quite a good armor piece, and then you just get a small boost from the 2nd rank being there anyways. That said, this has occasional use depending on your weapon type, and will be used in some builds for sure. The waist is 3 elemental absorption, 1 flair, and then 2 2-slots and a 1-slot, and this is by far the best way to get elemental absorption in the entire game, especially because that 1 rank of flair is lovely to have as a bonus. The issue, however, is that even with a good efficient armor piece, elemental absorption is a pretty meh skill. It will likely see use in some element builds looking to reach element cap, but anything below that, I don't expect this to change much because the actual element values from the skill are not great for 3 skill ranks, with the consideration that it is 66% uptime at maximum. Then the legs are another really solid piece of this armor set, 2 flair, which we talked about before, 2 blight resistance, which is more just a bonus than anything, and then 2 3-slot sockets, based purely on the sockets, the flair, and the fact that it contributes to the Lord Soul group bonus as well. This armor piece will see use in raw attack focused builds sometimes as well. Generally speaking, I would say that the helmet is the best piece for raw builds, the legs are the 2nd best piece for raw builds, and the gloves are not a bad piece in themselves for raw, but have some hefty competition in that slot. The chest for specifically dragon element builds will see use, and the waist is alright, but probably won't be used a whole lot. Then just to quickly touch on it, there is also the Sororal armor set that was added as part of this update, which you unlock after doing the Nadia side quest that was added too. The big notable thing with this is that the set comes with the gore magala set bonus on it, which means that these pieces also work towards the gore 2 set, which is a still pretty desirable set bonus thanks to the ability to get 1 rank of the set bonus from gogma artian weapons. That said, the head is 1 burst, 3 slot, 1 slot, 1 slot, which isn't awful, but the helm slot just has a lot of competition right now for the actual value. Chest is burst, 2 stamina surge, 1 part breaker, and no slots, and this is very meh. The arms are 1 burst, 1 evade extender, 1 part breaker, and a 2 slot socket, and this one will definitely see some actual use due to the combo of both having burst on it, which is a very desirable skill even at low ranks, and having gore set bonus on it too, which makes it a really good option for an already great set bonus to actually reach that. It may not pop up in raw damage focusing builds quite as much as it will in element focused builds, but it will be used. Waist is 2 burst, 2 evade extender, no slots, which is pretty meh, especially as most builds don't want more than specifically 1 rank of burst, but then the pants are 1 stamina surge, 1 part breaker, 3 slot, 2 slot socket, and this will likely also see a little bit of use too. Probably a bit less than the arms because the skills on it themselves are not fantastic, but the slot sockets on it are better than the gore pants, which is the other option to achieve the gore set bonus, so it will definitely find a place in some builds. That said, let's have a look at our generic build from Title Update 4, and then the new one that I've made using this armor set to show you how much stronger we are now compared to 2 months ago. And I'll do both the version using RNG for set and group bonus from weapon, and a set that is full crafted instead as well. For the RNG version, this was the old generic build template meant to be applicable for most weapons. It had some utility space, it had earplugs, which is a lovely bonus, and then things like counter strike, maximum might, weakness exploit, and latent power as the main sort of focuses within it. This set, which to be clear isn't counting sword and shield specific skills by any means when I do math, just pure generic skills, it hits 565.3 effective raw. This is the updated version of this using the arch-tempered dahaad gear, which is actually just a chest swap of basically equivalent value to new Udra Gamma chest, and then Arkveld head worked into the build too. The overall gain is essentially +1 agitator plus a bit of utility, and it hits 572.1 effective raw, which is only around a 1.2% increase, so it's not actually that crazy of a boost overall. If you wanted to use this with a crafted charm instead, you would just use an agitator charm nice and clean, which isn't a massive drop down in damage either. I could absolutely see an argument that Scorcher is a set bonus favored by the majority of weapons these days too, but that would be impossible to compare to the old builds, and I'm probably going to do an updated set of Scorcher builds in an upcoming video as well. But that to say, arch-tempered Arkveld has improved our raw builds a very small amount. For crafted sets, meaning that it doesn't use the Gogma Artian weapon set or group bonus, the only RNG might be a talisman, but those are always very easy to replace. Here is the old crafted generic template then from Title Update 4, and this one hit an effective raw of 549.6. The new version of that, updated with our new equipment since the update, is this one right here, which hits an effective raw of 564.4. So not only is this around 2.7% better than the equivalent build was before the update, it's also now only around 1.5% weaker than the full RNG version. The main point of which being that the new Arkveld Gamma Set's main impact is that it brings builds that don't get the set bonus and group bonus from the weapon closer to the power level of builds that do. Everyone's damage went up, but the damage of people with poor RNG went up more than the damage of people with good RNG, and that is a cool thing to see. That just about does it for today then, everyone. A sort of roundup of the changes that we expect to see to meta builds across the board after the addition of not only arch-tempered Arkveld with his Gamma armor set, but also Nadia's armor set too, which actually will have a very slight impact in some niche cases. I hope you've all enjoyed this then, and I wish you all the best in your hunts against the big furry menace himself. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.